Notes, my goats. Notes, my goats. Notes, my goats. Welcome back, everybody.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Notes, My Goats podcast. I am Brandon.
And I'm Steve.
How you doing, bud?
You know, it's June.
It is.
By now, I haven't left for vacation yet, but I'm counting the days.
I'm sure.
It's only early June. I'm really counting the days now. I got 2 weeks still.
What day is today?
Today is June 9th.
June 9th.
It is a Friday. You know what today is?
6/9, 69. That's
Well,
what
yes.
it is.
You had to go there. You are a fucking teenage boy. A white teenage boy, by the way. But no, today is, I'm gonna preface this up to stop. Guys, if you are following us on YouTube, hit that like and subscribe button, please, somewhere in the vicinity of wherever the hell you are.
Right.
But for two, if you're in the Wayland area tomorrow, June 10th, Brandon and I will be hosting a live music festival of all craziness sorts in downtown Wayland from like noon to like 8. So we'll be out and about all day downtown Wayland, all kinds of kid activities, food things going on. Come check us out. But that's what we got coming up, man. I looked at the calendar. Look at me.
Look at that. I
Cross
love it.
promotion and
then
stuff. The city of Wayland actually follows us.
And thinking ahead, next week, Friday, begins our three week in a row Friday night comedy shows in downtown Wayland.
For free.
Right outside
Those are free.
Right outside in the mini park, right outside of McDuff's. So
we're partnering with Peach Pit Productions, Peach
Yeah.
Pit Comedy Club to do some 3 weeks, 3 Fridays in a row of free comedy. So free comedians coming down to Wayland.
Yeah.
These
you
are
and I will
local.
both be there.
Yeah,
you know,
for most of the 3.
hosting and telling little jokes here and there.
Yeah, and I've been
I've got
told we
one
gotta
about
go
storming the
PG-13.
HOA. What?
We gotta say PG-13. We were told.
PG-13. Yes.
I get at least one shit, right?
I don't think so.
Damn it.
No, you don't get
Can
anything.
I get a damn it?
No, you get nothing.
This
You
is
get
some
nothing.
bullshit.
You get nothing.
I was pretty sure I gotta talk to management on that.
You need to talk to management on that. You need to figure out how many shits and dams you get, but I don't think you get any. Especially
Yeah, I
for
don't
being
think
in the
so.
community that it is. So I'm pretty sure.
I'll figure a way around it. Don't worry.
Right. Because remember, management management did say you're gonna have more trouble with this than I am.
They don't know me very well because I'm running I'm like 36 hours straight on stage of not swearing.
Right.
But I mean, when I walk off the stage or the mic's turned off, I definitely do it. But with mic in my face,
For
I
sure.
don't swear generally.
Right.
Most of the time.
Right.
But yeah, speaking of, so we're talking about ourselves. So today is a Friday.
Today is a
guest
Friday.
episode day.
It is, and it's a returning guest.
It's a returning guest, and it's actually our first guest our first live guest in about a month.
Since our replay episodes,
We took a
absolutely.
little bit of a break. So we brought back a new guest.
He's not a new guest.
He's not a new guest. He's been on before.
This is
He
number
brings us-
3.
He brings us weird shit.
Yeah, absolutely. I
on
won't
purpose?
deny. I won't deny that.
On purpose, he brings us weird shit.
Yeah.
And he said before, guys, if you haven't we were finished recording his second episode, and he's like, if you haven't done this one yet, this is the next one I'm gonna do.
Yep.
And that was like a long time ago.
Well,
we
and then
finally
it
were
just sits there, and then we'll get back into the messages and be like, "All right, let's get you on and let's do
Tyler,
this one
let's
now."
do this one. So, guys, welcome back to the podcast. Tyler Davenport, what's going on, dude?
How you doing? Actually, it was after we recorded the first one that I told you this is my absolute favorite band of all time. Like, I followed this discography since I was 9, 10 years old, something like that.
Yeah,
I've seen them live. I've seen them live 7 times now in my life.
Wow.
3 of which were on my birthday. 3 times on different birthdays.
on different birthdays. Wow.
Yeah, they're one of the all-time greats of like indie alt rock that never, like, they had one hit and then disappeared from the zeitgeist of things.
Right.
I would agree with you. They've got a bunch of stuff like sprinkled in that you didn't know was them. Like, you didn't know this was this band. You're like, well, I know that song. But
Steve
what
and
the
I
hell?
were talking at our last just 2, though, when it was just him and I. He goes, "Hey, I guarantee you've heard this song by these guys every time you turn on Disney." And I'm like, "What?" And
there's a couple of them. So Tyler, who are we talking about today?
So we are talking about They Might Be Giants, specifically their 2004 album, The Spine, which is for me one of their best albums. But it's really, really tough for me to pick a favorite album. They are
And I think that was your issue when you first brought them to us, because you were like, I want to do They Might Be Giants, but I got to figure out which album. They have a lot of them. So you're like, I don't know which one.
Yeah. They're super experimental. Like they're a very, very experimental group, both lyrically and musical composition. And they've been all over the place. And they really weren't a band until after their big hit album. So yeah, they've been all over the place.
I agree with you. So a little bit about them. I did my backstory here. Didn't hit everything because there's a lot, because they've been around for a long time. So They Might Be Giants, American alternative rock band.
They found him out when they were 9. I mean, this guy's old. I'm just kidding.
He's not young.
They formed the year I was born.
Yeah, 82. They've been active since 82. Wow. So Tyler's only 2 years older than me, Brandon.
It's true, which is only 8 years, which is only 8 years older than me. So.
Yeah. So, yeah, exactly. I agree with that statement. I'll take one for the team.
Yeah.
So active since 82, like we said. The band was created by John Flansburgh and John Linnell. Now, as Tyler said, for the first 10 years or so of their existence, they were a duo with a drum machine.
Yep.
It was just them and a drum machine. But in the early 90s, they did add a backing band, and the guys they've added have been with them pretty much for a good portion of the existence here. Only changed a couple of them out. Band is actually credited with creation of what they call DIY music in Brooklyn in the 80s. It's more commonly lo-fi now. It's called lo-fi, if you know what lo-fi music is, which means there's imperfections during recordings that were sometimes deliberate and sometimes they weren't, but they were kept in the recording instead of being cleaned up and edited out.
Interesting.
Is what they classify as lo-fi. But They Might Be Giants were really the pioneers of that kind of like, I kind of looking at it as like almost like a one step above or a couple steps above like a garage punk band. Like they're recording into like an 8-track or 4-track, and they're taking whatever came out. Like it's you're gonna get what you got, and we're not doing recuts. That's what, like, it's very artistic, and you can tell in multiple ways and shapes and form. But it's like a one cut thing. Like, nope, it's on wax now, fuckers. We're good. Whereas like most recording artists, I would say most all of them will record separate tracks. They mix them together. They do all the fancy different cleaning up, making sure it all sounds pretty. They re-record if they need to. And then they put out a very polished, very what you hear on the radio most of the time sound. That's not these guys. They don't do that. I mean, some of their stuff is kind of polished up, but most of it, not so much. It's kind of this. Now, they're also kind of smart asses, and I love it because Tyler, do you know what the original group name was? The band name?
What
they originally called themselves?
I can't remember it off the top of my head.
So in 82, they were kind of getting together, playing around. The Johns were playing together, and they got to play a concert, like a festival in New York. It was a Spanish festival. So they called themselves El Grupo de Rock, or to rock and roll. El Grupo de Rock and Roll, which means literally the rock and roll band.
Yeah.
That's what they called themselves. Now the band's name is, there's a couple of things. There's theories on how they came up with the band's name. When you talk to people that are not the Johns, it says it came from George C. Scott's film of the same name, but it was in the 70s.
Yep.
John Linnell said, however, it was one of their friends was had a ventriloquist act, and he kept using this term, They Might Be Giants, when he was with the puppet. And it was referring to other people like around, but he said he loved the term, which is what he says. Mm-hmm. It's kind of like a 50-50 split. The story changes depending on who they're asked by. I've learned. Wikipedia was just like, well, it said both things here. I'm like, all right, shit. That's what we're gonna go with. Now, John Linnell, when he was asked, he said that he liked it because of the puppet, the ventriloquist, because it was very paranoid sounding.
Mm-hmm.
So it just sounded very paranoid. So he was just like, I like this name. Sounds like we're crazy. So he went with it.
Yeah.
Now, as Brandon mentioned, the band is well known for its kids' music, of all things. They have contributed to Blue's Clues, whole movies, the movie Sky High, the movie
Home
Meet the
movies isn't really
Robinsons.
kids stuff.
It can be. I mean, I watched it when I was
can't be,
like
though,
12.
either.
No,
Yeah,
for sure. I watched it when I was like 12. Yes. Meet the Robinsons, which is an amazing movie. And then several Playhouse Disney songs, including one that I use on a almost weekly basis for my new hot dog cart, Hot Dog.
Mhm.
If you guys haven't heard the hot diggity dog, that's They Might Be Giants. I did not know that ever.
Yep.
And I thought this was actually kind of funny. They were actually asked to submit music for the animated adaptation of Neil Gaiman's Coraline.
Mhm.
But their music wasn't used because it wasn't creepy enough.
Yeah, they ended up publishing one of the songs, and I don't remember which one
did
it
they?
is offhand. Yeah, it wasn't on this album. It was on a later album. I don't remember what song it was though. But
they recorded
they
a few. They
released
recorded
some.
a few tracks for it, and the producers were like, "Nope, that won't work." So, as we mentioned before, they have 23 albums. 5 of those are kids albums, 11 live albums, 30 singles, 3 Grammy nominations. They did get 1 win, and a Tony nomination for the SpongeBob SquarePants The Broadway Musical.
Nice.
Yeah, they did. They did the
music for that.
The music for that.
Wow.
Yes, they did. And I'm actually going to see that at a local Grand Rapids production this fall, only because the music sounds and looks amazing.
What theater's doing that?
Civic.
I think it's at DeVos Place.
Okay.
No, Civic.
It is at Civic.
Oh.
Okay.
Civic's
So
doing it. We just went and saw
it is
something
more local.
Yeah, we just went and saw Something Rotten at the Civic last night, and it was amazing. That was a lot of fun. But yes, so
Nice.
they got a Tony nomination, so they're close to an EGOT, I guess, but they got a couple of nominations in there.
Yeah.
They have sold over 4 million albums. Now, the question I ask about popularity is how many Spotify listeners do you think they're pulling right now on Spotify monthly?
I'm not going to be good at this game because I don't pay attention to numbers. I
Neither does
don't
Brandon.
find
It's
value
okay.
in them,
However,
which is the worst thing an analyst should say. But
yeah, right. You're a numbers guy.
But you got to think though, like Hot Dog is probably one of their most listened to songs, even if you're not listening to.
It's not. You don't know you don't know the big hit. Hey Tyler, what's their big hit?
Birdhouse in Your Soul. Or it could be Istanbul, not Constantinople.
It's Istanbul, not Constantinople. But Birdhouse in Your Soul is their second one.
But,
yeah, so
they were on the same album, actually.
Yes, they were. They were on Flood. That was their breakout album. Istanbul, I don't know if this is accurate or not, but I believe that's not actually their song. I think it's a remake.
It's a cover or remake.
It's a cover. Yeah. But it was their first big quote unquote hit was Birdhouse, and then Istanbul dropped, and that was that they blew up. And then I don't know if it was a case of they couldn't handle it, they didn't want it, or they are very avant-garde, I guess would be a word for it, where it's I do art for the sake of art. I don't care whether you like it or whatever. This is what we're doing, and you're either here for it or you're not. You have to meet them at that level. And I kind of think that's where their music came from, where it was they had a hit and they're like, cool, it was a hit, we made some money, but we're not going to follow that path. We're going to keep creating whatever it is we want.
They remind me of a musical Andy Warhol almost.
Yes. If you look up Flansburgh's guitar, if you ever see an image of it, it looks like something that is hand cut out of wood. It is the most bonkers looking guitar, and he plays it because that's just what he likes, and it's cool.
So just to give you, for the number here, just to give you an idea, Birdhouse in Your Soul is their second most popular song. It's over 35 million plays on Spotify. Istanbul, not Constantinople, is over 83 million plays on Spotify. So just to give you an idea. Now, the number, they are in the millions, and it is low, I will tell you that.
Yeah.
I'm helping you. So what do you think, Brandon?
1.275.
Higher or lower, Tyler?
Higher, but only just.
Yeah, actually. We're gonna go full number here because that's very, very close. 1.2 or 1,287,000.
Wow.
So 1.287. So you were
10,000 off.
yeah, that's the closest you've hit without cheating, Brandon. Look at you. So the Spine was released, as Tyler said, July 5th, 2004. 16 tracks, 36 minutes long. Not what I was expecting with 16 tracks. I was like, wait, this one just moves. The album was actually, there's not very much on this one. The Wikipedia was very, very small. They don't put out a lot about their albums. They just keep cranking them out, basically. The album was released alongside a companion EP called The Spine Surfs Alone. And I did mention that they do a lot of cartoons help with this one. There was a video for Experimental Film, which is the lead track on the album, that was created with the creators of popular internet cartoon Homestar Runner, which is Strong Bad. If you didn't know who Homestar Runner is, Strong Bad emails. Which if you don't know who that is, guys, check out Strong Bad on YouTube, and then come back because you can get out of a pretty big hole there. But the Strong Bad email videos are amazing. Homestar Runners are fantastic. And that video for Experimental Film is very good as well. There were no singles from this album. They just kind of released it, did their thing.
They don't really do singles that much.
No, they're like you said, they're very artsy. They're just gonna put their music out there. If you like it, you like it. If you don't, you don't. They're kind of cool with that. It seems like, and their kids music is paying the bills. I'm pretty sure. So they got Disney. They got a hook. They got their hooks in Disney a little bit. That's paying their bills. Hot Dog is definitely paying some bills for them. I'm sure. I hope they made a good amount on that one because I use it all the time on TikTok.
Yeah.
So Brandon, let's start with you. What was your favorite song on the album?
I picked Museum of Idiots as
Nice.
my favorite track. Yeah. The song, among others on this album, super quirky, both lyrically and musically. And I thoroughly enjoyed listening to it the many times that I did. The brass vibe that was happening with this track, super fun. Brought out the quirkiness and kind of ramped it up to 11, in my opinion. There was a lot of dynamic contrast throughout that was, I think, well done as well. I could listen to this song on repeat and honestly never get bored with it. It's just fun. I found myself on multiple occasions always dancing a little bit to this one. So Museum of Idiots, I mean, it's fun. So that one for me is my favorite. Steve, what about you?
I went with Prevenge. I liked Prevenge. Now, this sounds like a kid's song about a feeling that I never knew how to classify. I'm happy knowing that my predetermined mindset to expect and to plan revenge before you act out is considered to be normal now. I totally do this though. I think of scenarios in my head where like I expect people to be terrible and I plan how I can meet them with their petty. Am I happy that I do this? Not particularly. But I won't stop doing it.
I was gonna say you're not gonna stop.
Dude, I'm like a petty Boy Scout. I'm always prepared when people are dicks. It just is what it is. Like I am always there. But I love the song. I saw the song title and I was like, oh, I'm listening to that one right now. Hold on. And then I checked it out and I was just like, this is actually kind of a bop. It just moves. Like it was making me laugh, and I was just like, and then I had to listen to it again with like I said, read the lyrics because half the time the lyrics don't make sense with the song title. So I was reading it and I was like, this is exactly what I thought it was. All right. Like it makes the middle school boy inside of me very, very happy because it's just, yes. Yep. I am pre-planning how I'm going to be terrible to you because I know you're gonna be terrible to me before you even are terrible to me. So I like Prevenge. I like it. Tyler, what about you?
My favorite actual track on this album is actually Damn Good Times. I really love the call and answer of the chorus. I don't know. There's something about it. Like I'm not a dancer. I don't get up and dance at weddings or anything like that. But it's that song that fills you with that energy of wanting to. Like it's the closest I will ever get to without actually doing. Um, it's one of those songs that like I can't put the story in its place, but I don't know what it means. And you'll find with almost all of their music, they will just about never tell you what any of it means. It's always whatever you think it means, that's what she means. So I like that because I like being able to write your own story to all of them.
Oh, for sure. That's a lot of these are like that. A lot of these will tell a pretty significant story. Like I said, even if the song title doesn't match up to actually what's going on in the song, but they all tell some semblance of a story.
So, I mean, first of all, it really warms my heart and makes me happy that you guys enjoyed this, because like they're very very special to me as a band. I really really liked that you like Museum of Idiots because that's way up there for me, like in their overall catalog. And to me, I always imagined it's a singer in a band who's very unhappy with the rest of his band, and the rest of his band is the Museum of Idiots.
Sure.
And I think the reason I came to that is because, like I think it's like the second verse where he's singing his line, and the band just comes roaring in before he even finishes the line to go into the chorus.
Yeah.
And I love that bit because it's like I can't tell if it's he's an idiot and ran too long into the chorus and didn't have his beats measured properly, or if they're like fuck you and just shutting him down. That's where my head goes.
I like
song,
it
but
though.
That song is fantastic, and it's a great example of some of their compositional playground miss, where they're just like, we're going to screw with timing and measuring just a little bit to irritate.
Yep.
Yes, I love it. So it is time for us to play our first game. This is me. So I am doing this one.
Yep.
So I'm gonna go with They Might Be Giant Wangs. Let's go.
I was gonna omit the giant and just They Might Be Wangs.
I'm gonna be hopeful.
Yeah.
Let's play Wayne. Let's play Wayne. Word association and game.
All right, guys. So I did pick 2 songs. I'm pretty happy with at least one of them. My clue. Other one, I wrote this after I had a rough night at a bike fest. The rough morning after a bike night that I hosted. So here we go. The first one I think is an easy one, but we'll go with it. You'll find this in DC.
Bastard wants to hit me.
You're not wrong, but no.
Museum of Idiots.
Yeah, Museum
of Idiots.
Yeah.
100%. Depending on where you go in DC, there's multiple spots where there's museums of idiots there. All right, the second one, as I wrote after I hosted a bike night that I definitely did something stupid at. Steve, after drinking cheap vodka.
Memo to Human Resources.
Broken 2.
Tyler's right, but Brandon's is better. But oh man, Tyler was right. Yeah, because I was completely broken too.
Yeah.
I started a new job this week, and the night before the new job started, I hosted a bike night for Wayland. One of the things I'm doing, and I had one drink, and it was great. I didn't drink cheap vodka, and I went to the bar to get a second drink because you can drink downtown in Wayland and kind of walk around the city a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And the bartender was like, "You should try one of these. They're only $3." And I went, "Yeah." And that should have been a red flag in my head.
Yeah.
Red, like the $3 should have been a red flag because she filled a cup up, and it was like a 10-ounce cup with like half booze, and it was watermelon, really cheap vodka. And the next morning, I had a headache for a good couple hours, and I work with heavy machinery. It was not great. It was not a good day. But I deserved everything I got from there. So,
Sure.
Yes, I was broken too.
I like it.
So
all right.
It is time for our least favorites.
It is.
Now, I'll go first because I'm talking still. and I picked a song that I really want to love, but I can't. It's Bastard Wants to Hit Me.
Okay, interesting.
I want to like this song. The title is amazing. I relate to this far more than I ever thought I would because of me. I even dig the piano and like that synth keyboard sound. But what I can't get past is the upbeat Peter Gabriel-esque computer generated singing. That makes me want to hit them, and I'm pretty sure that's why I did it.
They're very new wave, man. When they came
Oh.
up, it was when new wave was hitting it. That screams it.
I'm there, and I think I may have screwed myself on this because I was like, another song title. I was like, I need to listen to that song too because and I was in my car, had it turned up kind of loud, and that just first like Peter Gabriel got me, and I went, what the hell is this? And then I turned it down a little bit and listened to the song, which still made me laugh, but that computer generated singing voice got me on this one. I dug the music though. I really loved the synth mixed in with the traditional piano. It was awesome. The keyboard there was pretty cool. So I dug it. And I'm gonna keep it in my back pocket because I can pull at least the chorus from there and put on something because there is many times that many bastards want to hit me. So it kind of works out.
Yeah.
It's great. So that was my least favorites. Tyler, what about you? Did you have a least favorite or most skippable from the album?
Yeah. I Can't Hide From My Mind is one of those ones that just I don't connect with in any way, and I'm just like, if it comes on, I guess I'll listen to it, but I'm not seeking it out either.
Sure. I mean that's the same one that I picked, and I kind of had to get nitpicky as to why, because this album is super quirky, but I felt like this one was the most bland and boring and not quirky.
Yeah.
I think it lends nicely to the end of the album as like to wrap it up, but I was really hoping for the quirkiness to go all the way to the end, and I felt like it wasn't there for me on this one. So that was my reasoning. So
they quirked too early.
They quirked a little too early. So
okay,
quirk
happens
it
the best.
Every once in a while they release like a pop sounding song, and some of them are okay, but it's not what I'm here for.
Right.
No, you're here for the weird.
For sure.
And I love it. So Brandon, it's time for your game.
It is. I don't have a cool name other than what we normally call it. So
well, it works out.
It does. All right, guys, it's time for Shatner's Poetry Slam.
Let's go.
Ladies and gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen, this is Shatner's Poetry Slam.
All right, guys. So I am doing Shatner's Poetry Slam tonight, and I've got 2 tracks for you.
Okay.
Here's your first one. Needing a friend to talk you down?
Wearing a raincoat.
Nailed it. Look at that.
Which is a pretty interesting song.
And that's coming on verse 2. So
yeah. That's the one that like every time there's a whole verse where it sounds like they're singing backwards. Just because of like the phonetic structure of it. It's so weird.
It's so weird. It's so good though.
Yes.
All right, next one. I'll be in the back, and I don't need the help.
Memo to Human Resources.
Look at that. Nailed it. Look at that. I'm not surprised.
I'm not either, but it's his favorite band, and he's seen him 100,000 times. So I'm like, I was like, I'm gonna be quiet. Tyler's got me. It's okay.
Yeah, for sure. The theme song was longer than this game actually lasted today.
You're not wrong.
For sure.
I'm sorry.
No, don't be sorry.
Don't be sorry. I just know
only sorry if the lyrics are really, really funny, and then we let him go for a little while because that's what we do. It's but it's okay. These ones were good. You picked it up like that. I'll take it all day long. You're a super fan. We get that.
Yep. All right. So let's get into those deep cut dark horse tracks. Tyler, let's start with you. What was like a deep cut track you had for this one?
It's Kicking In is so much fun. I love that song so much. And like I can very quickly point to that being my favorite in a good way too. And I love it because it's like I think of the songs on this album, it's one of the most new wave experimental. And it just tells a really simple story about like trying to be awake when it like during the day when you normally work at night I mean, at least how I interpret it. And
Mhm.
I like that there's a whole bit, like a breakdown bit, that's spoken in something that's supposed to sound French but is nonsense.
Mm.
So that's my deep cut. I love that song, but
I
I think
like
the
it.
whole album is deep cuts for your audience.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
Yeah, you're not wrong. For sure. For sure. Steve, what about you, bud?
I picked Au Contraire.
Oh, good song.
Still have no idea what the song's actually about, but it caught me. Like I was listening to this song. Okay, so listen to this album on the way home from work. It's like an hour drive, so I listened actually to it like a couple of times, on a couple different days, and every single time this song came on, I'm just like grooving to the music, and I'm like, what the hell did he just say? What name did he just throw out there? And it's like a jumble of nonsense that's set to really catchy, upbeat music. And
It's sort of like a schmaltzy, like piano bar kind of,
yes,
those lounge singer acts type
yes,
music.
it's
It
like
has
a
that
Richard,
kind of swing to it.
yeah, it's like a lounge singer, like a Richard Cheese, but he's this like other
Yeah.
lounge singers. But that's what I was like, man, this is like it grooves, and you're like, what did he just say? Wait a minute, he just said, hold on, I had to I replayed this song probably 4 times, which is why I picked it because I'm like, every single time it caught me, I was doing something else, and I was like, hold up, and I had to pull the Spotify lyrics up and go, let me read this now. Yup, he did say that. Why did he say that? Okay, that makes no sense at all. Which, again, I believe is the point because they were like, we're just going to start just do whatever we can. And you're going to keep playing this song, which it's been played almost 200,000 times on Spotify. And I would say I've done that probably about, 5 to 10 times myself. But I liked the song. It caught me off guard. It was one of those ones that, like, I didn't originally think I was going to like very much. But I was just like, and then I started laughing as I'm like, something else would catch my ear. And I'm like, okay, yep, no, I'm not re-listening to it. You got me already a couple times. We're good, but I just liked the feel it had, so I loved that one. So Brandon, what was your deep cut?
I picked "Wearing a Raincoat" as my deep cut.
It's an interesting song.
It is an interesting song. To me, this song is lyrically simple and yet complex at the same time. I say that because there really isn't a whole song breakdown like where it's you got your intro, your verse, your chorus, etc. For any of these songs really. But this one kind of reminds me of like that douchebag kind of guy who says so many things and goes in so many circles that at the end of the day they think they make sense, but in reality everyone else is completely lost to what just happened.
That's a really cool take on it. I like that.
So that's kind of how I felt. And like in life, I hate people who do that, but yet for some reason I loved it with this track. And I was like, this is great. So Wearing a Raincoat was my deep cut. So let's get into our final thoughts, Steve. I'm gonna roll right into mine here. Album was quirky, super fun. We've talked about it already. This is the kind of music that I would put on in the background, either while I'm driving, while I'm cleaning the house, or just having like a summer barbecue by the pool. I don't have a pool, but whatever. This is my first time listening as a whole to They Might Be Giants, and I really liked what I listened to, and I'm gonna listen to more. Like I really like this a lot. I'm actually giving this one a 7.5 out of 10. So absolutely. So Steve, what about you?
So I've heard this band without holy crap. Wow. I'm starting over because I only coughed there for a second. I've heard this band so many times without knowing it was this band. Several of their songs are in animated movies or Disney movies that I love. Like I love Sky High. I think it's an underrated Disney flick. Just a cool popcorn movie. Meet the Robinsons might be one of my favorite Disney movies of all time. It's an amazing flick with so many like jokes in there, and they have a song in there. Plus, I mentioned before, I own a hot dog cart. Like it goes. They wrote the theme song for my hot dog cart. It just kind of happens. The album itself, though, is very eclectic. I knew they were kind of a off the beaten path band because of just the conversations with Tyler. I didn't realize how eclectic they were, and I actually wrote that they remind me of like even this one. It reminds me of like a weird kind of surface level Weezer during the Blue album, though, like during Weezer's original album. But I believe because They Might Be Giants came out many years before Weezer, that Rivers must have been a They Might Be Giants fan because of a lot of his stuff. A lot of what Rivers does reminds me of They Might Be Giants in some way, shape, or form. Some of the cadences, some of the different musical choices, some of the lo-fi sounds that Weezer even does reminds me of this band. So I believe that They Might Be Giants is a heavy influence on Rivers Cuomo as well, which I can see also because it's another one of Tyler's really favorite bands, which makes a lot more sense. I liked this album for what it was, a nonsensical 30 just plus minute adventure into a crazy town with pretty good music. Like, it was seriously sit back and like you can literally check out and not take it seriously at all and be completely happy. Like, this is for those who can partake, this is a pop and edible and crank it up because you're about to have an experience. I'm just saying right now, that might be a good one or a bad one.
You don't even have to pop the edible.
If you want to amp it up a little bit, though, I've been told, allegedly, those make things better. I have to say allegedly because my job does not allow me to partake. And I don't know for certain, but allegedly, that makes your experience more enjoyable. But for me, I really did appreciate it. I've actually listened to Flood as well, the full album. I listened to Bird in the House and then Instable. I know those songs, but I listened to the whole album of Flood because I was like, this one's got a lot of featured tracks on Spotify, so it just like check this one out too. So I checked it out. It was good, and I enjoyed myself to that one as well. So I went with a 7 out of 10, so very similar to what Brandon did. So I loved it. I thought I wanted more. Like, I wanted it to be a little longer, which is something I don't usually ask for with music, but I was looking for more, which is why I listened to Flood after this one. So Tyler, wrap us up. What do you got for final thoughts?
So what I will say is, like I said, man, this band, they're really special for me. They are a band you have to meet at their level. But man, when you do, like, if it connects, it just whips so hard. If you are interested in diving deeper with them, they did a ridiculously good cover of Tub Thumping for the AV Club.
Really?
Oh yeah. Like, that's a song I hate. Like,
yeah.
It comes on the radio and I'm just like, no. But they covered it for AV Club one year, years and years ago. And it's so fantastic because they're just so happy singing it. I can see that. You guys know comedians, so you are familiar with the phrase like a comedian's comedian. It's not somebody who's necessarily successful, but is like their structure and storytelling talent and chops are such that all other comedians look at him and go, "That dude's funny." That's how I equate They Might Be Giants. They may not be like stadium sellers. Like, I saw them at St. Andrews Hall a few times. Or they don't go big, but they are a musician. Like, they're doing everything right. They're doing it their way, and they're able to support themselves. Like, it's the dream of a musician. Like, they're doing it in a really cool way. Their super early stuff, when it was just the two of them, is way more experimental. There are some real bangers back there. But even their modern stuff, I mean, like, they've mellowed out a little bit, but man, like, I'm never disappointed with these guys. I really enjoy them. I hope
for
everyone
40
else
plus
does
years
too.
now. I hope they mellow a little bit. They've been on, it's 40 some years they've been going. So, man.
Yeah. Also, from Flood, if you go on YouTube and look up Tiny Toons, They Might Be Giants, this is where I first heard them. So you remember the old Tiny Toons? Yes, you remember the old cartoon show?
Yeah.
Okay, they had one episode where they did music videos. Do you remember this episode?
I do not.
Okay, so they did like a bunch of music videos, and it was just all their own cartoons and whatever. One of them was Money, and then they did another song I don't recall now, but they did two They Might Be Giants songs. They did Istanbul and Particle Man. And that's where I first heard of them. I'm like, holy cow.
Okay.
Like that era coming up for me, I was really big into Conan O'Brien. Like he's my comedian.
Yes.
I love weird offbeat humor where like the setup is something outside of what you think it is, and the punchline is something else, and you don't like you have to unpack it to get there. So that's like how I got into these guys, and then just it's been rolling nonstop, man. They're so good. So in keeping with their quirkiness and weirdness, I'm not going to give them a rating because it would be a 10 out of 10, and that's ridiculous. So I am going to give them a potato out of periwinkle.
That'll work. I like
love
it.
that.
That's love it. So they get a
That's
potato.
fantastic.
So Tyler, I am going to off the top of your head, we're going to pick your brain here because you've now given us, this is your third podcast with us, and every single one you've given us now has been something that we never saw coming. So we had Passenger, we had the New Pornographers,
yes,
we had They Might Be Giants.
Yes.
So do you got a fourth one for us?
Do I have a fourth one? I can think of something that is. I can think of something that is way off beat and not what you'd expect from me. That you may have heard of. And I'm struggling to remember the artist's name suddenly. Because I'm old and stupid.
Wait a minute.
I remember. I do remember it now. Thanks to the magic of Apple Music. No, you guys may have heard of him. It's a very, very specific sound. So, like, I like They Might Be Giants because you never know what you're going to get. Like, they're all over the place.
For sure.
But I also like artists who are like, this is my lane. This is what I'm doing, and I'm going to keep refining and refining and refining and refining. And that is Nathaniel Rateliff and the Night Sweats.
You're not the first person to bring him up, actually. So we haven't done anything by him yet, but a comedian's comedian, our good friend Carl Sobel brought him up recently. A podcast we were on with him. So that's awesome. I've seen, and he's actually like growing because he's been features on more and more stuff recently. So we might have to pick your brain on that one eventually. He
started out in like Colorado or something and kind of blew up from there. But yeah, if you like folksy Americana bluegrass style music.
Apparently opened for Willie Nelson back a while back with Grand Rapids. So that's where a few friends of the podcast saw him and told us like, you guys got to check this guy out because he's going to get bigger. That's awesome.
Yeah, he's so good, so good.
I'm looking forward to checking that one out. Like I said, you're batting 3 for 3 now, so you're doing pretty well.
I'm all over the place, man. I know what I like, and I will preach it to the heavens.
And we appreciate that. That's why we bring people on, because there's stuff we've never heard of before. I can probably look at our 200, almost 300 episodes now, and there's probably a good 50, 60 artists on there I've never heard of before, and about 50, 60 more that I probably don't want to hear from again. It just kind of is what it is. But guys, that has been They Might Be Giants and their album The Spine here. Tyler, thanks for bringing that on here. Brandon, do you have anything you want to say to the kids?
Guys, just head on over to our social media, Facebook, Instagram, Notes My Goats podcast. Now
check out our link tree.
Yeah, check out our link tree. That gives everything, because you won't see a face of a goat anymore. You'll see our cartoonish faces now, which
all
is
cleaned up and not lo-fi, because
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we are high quality. I don't know. That's whatever. Doesn't matter. But we're also technically on Twitter for a little bit, but we don't really post there much, Steve, because why?
Because Elon Musk fired himself. He hates himself too.
He did. Yeah, 100%. That guy's
so that's a good reason not to be on Twitter. If the guy that owns the business is like, I suck.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to do this anymore, which is he finally got somebody to do that. And I'm guessing he's paying her a boatload of money to do that for him. So hopefully. But one last quick plug for us. If you are in the West Michigan area and you do find yourself around Wayland or the nearby area, stop by tomorrow. Check us out on Saturday the 10th. we're going to be downtown pretty much I'll be down there probably from 10 a.m. until whenever the hell the bars let out, because I'll be serving hot dogs or talking on stage. One of the things.
There you go.
So come out and check us out. There'll be a lot of kids activities, free event. It's a completely free event with, vendors for food and craft shows and things like that, but everything else is pretty much for free. Come out, check us out, and we will see you guys very shortly. And then, like Brandon said, last 3 Fridays in June, we're doing free comedy nights in downtown Wayland, starting at 7 p.m. from 7 to 10 in Wayland. So lots of stuff coming up this summer, guys. Free events that we're helping to host. Can't say you didn't know anything was happening, but thank you so much for coming on. Tyler, thank you for coming and bringing us the weird. We really love it.
Love it.
We'll look forward to the next one because I know there'll be a next one. And we'll get you back on shortly here. But other than that, this has been the Notes by Goats podcast. I am Steve.
I'm Brandon.
And we'll see you guys in a couple days.
Notes my goats. Notes my goats. Notes my goats.